continuous improvement tool that can be used in the classroom is the Plan, Do, Study, Act, or PDSA cycle. This tool is the heart of what continuous improvement is about. Remember that just doing a tool and using a tool are two different things. Just going through the motion without using the results of the tool is just wasted motion. Using this cycle is the time to get your class focused on what needs to be learned. Give students a voice in how they want to learn the material, enable the teacher to gather data about learning, and give both the teacher and class a time to reflect on what has happened. Let's go over each component of the cycle and what happens in each part. Each section is completely controlled by you, the teacher, and the amount of time you take depends upon your needs.
Plan. This is a directive that you as the teacher of the class set. It should describe the basic learning objectives that will be focused on during a set time frame that you choose. Using your learning objectives set at the beginning of the year is a great place to start designing your plan. The plan should be specific enough so that students understand what is expected of them during the plan's duration and how and when they will be assessed on their learning of the material. Here is an example of what a plan might look like. Okay. Again, a description of the basic learning objective to be accomplished in a set time frame and includes when and how the objective will be assessed. So here's an example of one that has been written for math. Plan. Students will be able to graph and write equations for circles. You know you are successful when you receive a 70% or higher on the assessment scheduled for May 5th. Remember, you write the plan and set the assessment time.
Do. The first several times you do this part of the cycle, you may want to control what is being written. The point of this part of the cycle is to come up with specific things that need to be done in order for the plan to be executed. Normally, the do will reflect two parts, what the teacher will do and what the student will do. Using a T-chart can help separate the different roles. This will be an accountability list. Filling in the teacher will column may need to be your job for the first several times of the cycle until students begin seeing the different teaching techniques that you use, or different strategies that you do to teach them the plan. For example, if your course is such that providing notes and examples is important for student learning, then you would want to list this as part of the do list. If providing written instructions to them to an activity or demonstrations of an activity is part of how you teach, then you would list this as part of your do. But remember that whatever you list as part of your do list, you should be held accountable for doing them, just as you are going to hold the students accountable for getting their part done. As well, after a few cycles of the PDSA, you might like for me to do that will help you learn. You can always discard an idea if it is unreasonable or impossible, but I am always surprised at some of the insights students can give us as to how they learn better. In the same way, you will fill in the students' will column. The first few times you might fill in what you would like to see students do to learn. Perhaps pay attention in class, take notes, ask questions, come to tutoring, etc. As time passes, turn this responsibility over to the students and have them make a list of the things they should commit to doing to be successful. The first time you do this cycle, you will stop at this point and then begin doing the plan. As the week passes, be sure to point out the things on the list that you are doing and remind students of what they committed to do to be successful. Here's the do. A list of specific things that need to be done in order for the plan to be executed. This will reflect two parts. Teacher will do and student will do list. Here's an example from the math class. Do. Teacher will provide notes, give examples, be available for tutoring, post notes on Blackboard. Student will complete practice problems, ask questions in class, take notes, come for tutoring if needed.
When the time comes to take the planned assessment, try and return it to students as soon as possible, because this is the next step in the cycle, study. You want to share the results of the assessment with the class, perhaps in the form of class averages, looking at the class run charts, asking students to reflect on their grades, etc. As time goes on, you will also have a basis to compare the results with previous assessments to see if the students are improving with time. This usually takes 5 to 10 minutes to discuss the results of the assessment, and then you are ready to move to the act. Let's look at an example from a math class. Study. Share the results of the assessment through different types of data: class averages, percent passing, and comparison to previous assessments. So for instance, a study in a math class, they had a class average of 80.5. They had 6 people in the 90s, 8 people score in the 80s, 7 score in the 70s, so they had a passing rate of 90% for the class test.
In the ACT portion of the cycle, you and the class are reflecting on what worked well in executing the plan and what needed to be changed. Using a plus-delta chart is a great tool to gather the ideas. This tool enables the students and the teacher to think about what the teacher and the students did that worked well and list them under the plus. Then do the same thing for the things that the teacher did or students did that need to be changed and list under the delta. This is often the time that you and the class can have a discussion about behavior changes to achieve the class goal. It isn't enough to just list these things. They need to be incorporated into the ongoing plan for the class. Before leaving this section, it is often helpful to write a prescription about what needs to be done to improve classroom learning. In the math class, act a reflection of what worked well in executing the plan and what needs to be changed in order to improve. And here is a plus-delta chart for the math class. For the plus, things that worked well were notes on Blackboard helped, plenty of example problems. These are some things that need to be changed in the delta column. Ask more questions in class. Have more partner time in class.
From this point on, you will need to decide if the class is ready to go on to the next plan or if reteaching is in order. Either way, you would move to the plan and go over with the students and then ask them to fill in a new do list, incorporating the plus delta that they just finished. As you can see, this cycle continues on through the year. It often takes no more than 10 to 15 minutes to incorporate these discussions in class. It keeps the students informed on what is going on in class. It gives them a voice in how they are going to be taught. And the more you demonstrate that you are working to incorporate the ideas into the class, that's going to help improve their scores. The more buy-in they have in class, the more they will take responsibility in their own learning.
In my English 1 class, this is how I do my Plan, Do, Study, Act. I have divided up my 5 summatives into the different categories that we use for our skills. I have a Plan, Do, Study, Act for essays, literary comprehension, vocabulary, English projects, and short answer questions. And every couple of weeks, whatever skill we're working on, we do the Plan, Do, Study, Act at that time. I always start with my plan because that's what the teacher, comes up with. For example, I have a plan for May 16th through 19th for timed essays. The plan is that all students will score at least a 3 on a timed autobiographical rough draft that contains structured ideas and literary devices to convey meaning and voice and proper use of conventions and spelling during class time on Thursday, May 9th. That plan was based on my previous Plan, Do, Study Act, which is in the pink here. On May 5th, I looked at the results from the To Kill a Mockingbird timed essay, and I based these skills, this chart on the previous essay. On a score of 1 through 4, I had 60 students receive a 1, 80 students receive a 2, 25 students receive a 3, and 10 students receive a 4. I wanted to improve that score to more people getting at least 3. So we looked at what we did that worked well. We saw that things that worked well for the plus side was the thinking maps, the annotating, and round-robin discussion. These are some things on the timed essay from the To Kill a Mockingbird essay that did not work well. So that was the delta side. These we will do differently. Students will not disturb others. Students will complete daily assignments. Students will color code our annotations. Mrs. Reed will use more illustrations. Students will provide better feedback on peer evaluations. So with that in mind, I made the plan that I previously read to you. And then in class this week, we will make our teacher will and student will do list. The teacher will and student do list will come from my instructional strategies. My students, for me, they can tell me what I need to do to help them reach a score of 3 on their timed essay. They could use graphic organizers, notes, gallery walk, fishbowl, parking lot, any strategy that I can provide during class to help them. And then on the student will, they will pick from the student strategies such as attend class daily, study nightly, personal dictionary, any strategy that will help them to reach the plan of a 3 on their essay. And I also always have myself and my students always sign the teacher will, student will, because that holds us more accountable for what we will do. So this week, as I said, we will do the do part for the timed essays. The following week, we will study, and then I will set a new plan. And as you can see, I have done this for Literary comprehension, we always start with our plan. Teacher will, student will, we sign. And then we look at our results. Like for example on this one, my animal farm test. First time, the average was about a 70. We did our plus delta. And the next time when we came back, we had a score of a 73 as an average. So it does work in class. It always helps to push them up, but it always lets me, the teacher, know what I'm doing that needs to be changed or continued, and what the students need to do that needs to be changed or continued. And throughout this year, I've used PDSA several times, and I have changed it. And as of right now, this is the best way for my class. But it might not be the best for you, but as long as you are continuously looking at what the plan, what you did, your results, and trying to make it better, it will improve the students' grades.
I started using Plan, Do, Study, Act in my reading class starting second semester of this school year. Since that time, I have seen great improvement in student achievement and students taking responsibility for their own learning. I just wanted to show you an example of a tool we have used, a continuous improvement tool that the students do on their own for our study part of the process. On this chart, they use this to record their assignments down at the bottom, and they chart their grades here at the top. This will show them how well they have done on each assessment and if they are improving on their grades. Now, at the end of the 6 weeks, this is how we also use the study portion of the Plan, Do, Study Act. I post the class grades for each class, and we have a competition among the classes to see who can score the highest class average. The students really enjoy seeing the results at the end of each 6 weeks to see which class has the highest average. This helps them to try to achieve greater success the next 6 weeks if they haven't achieved the highest score as far as the class averages in my reading class. So that's just a couple of tools that I use in my class in doing the Plan, Do, Study Act so that the students can see their progress, their student achievement over time. And these tools help show not only student progress over time, but it gives some fun class competition among the classes.